Cameras up. Maru and Solar both looking very calm and focused. I think Maru's main attribute in this head-to-head is the unshakableness. No matter what goes wrong, this man could lose 50 Marines to a couple of Banelings, and he won't even blink twice. He'll just keep on playing his A-game. He is, of course, the greatest Terran player in the world, the greatest Korean GSL player of all time, looking for his first World Championship. Give it up for Maru!
And his opponent in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, a teammate of Maru. We are looking at Solar's main hatchery.
Onside gaming, getting the once again fabled team kill. You know, it's so many times Solar and Maru have run into each other in these round of 8s.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? When you make deep runs into tournaments, at some point, since only one person can win, you're gonna have to take down your teammate as well.
I'm sure those onside guys are shaking their head though and saying, "Come on, can it just be the finals for once?
Yeah,
can they just avoid each other till the finals, please?"
I'm indeed expecting Solar to start this series off pretty standardly, like you were talking about already. Yes, he's perfectly capable of playing those roach-based pushers, and that is something that he's done many times before. But generally speaking, he likes to go for that macro-focused style in the early game, where you just slowly build up, you try to just take all of the punches and eventually overwhelm and swarm your Terran opponent, right? And Maru, yeah, he's a big fan of playing that heavy macro style, but honestly, he's one of the most well-rounded players out there, going for a huge variety, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to get very aggressive here in the first game of this series.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I agree with that sign. Turn the Terran music up as well. I think that's everyone's favorite soundtrack, the Wings of Liberty one. Some Zerg supporters there as well, of course. And I really do feel that the defensive player Solar is very good. What's interesting for me is if Maru chooses Widow Mines or tanks to try to push it, because Babylon's a rather short distance map, some amazing tank positions, and I think Solar's going to need a lot of urgency on breaking the rocks down. Anytime he gets a little bit of room to breathe, start working on these rocks, because you want as many wide open areas as possible. Otherwise, the Terran is going to take advantage.
Ooh, yeah, I was going to say, I think that is in vision range right there of the Reaper, the drone not moving far enough.
Oh.
And that is, well, it's annoying, but it's a moral victory as well, right? This is one of those starts that you really don't want to have as a Zerg player. It's only a single drone, but it hurts mentally.
And speaking of the mental game, this is why I mentioned how Maru is so unflappable at the start of the series, because Solar, on the other hand, is a player who is a bit more emotional. I mean, he's good at staying calm under pressure for the most part, but Maru is an absolute rock, whereas Solar, he has a history here. He has a history against Maru in the World Championship, involving a gigantic nuke, ruining a series, and actually eliminating his chance of going further in that tournament, you know? It was a disaster for him a few years ago when that giant nuke from Maru did make a crazy comeback, something that weighs on Solar's mind a little bit, not to mention that he was mentioning, hey, Maru was my #1 practice partner going into this tournament. He beat me 13 games for every 1 win that I got. I don't know how much he was exaggerating, but obviously Solar's warmed up throughout this tournament. We've seen him gain confidence. He came into the tournament really doubting his abilities, and he's just gotten better and better each round.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Maru and Solar or a lot of interviews rather with these two historically, and Solar, I mean, he's a bit of a memester, right? I mean, it's really difficult to judge his words, but I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Maru is indeed the favorite whenever they're playing against each other in practice games. It's going to be that quick triple CC into a Raven opener. A Raven is kind of interesting. Obviously, the unit did get a couple of adjustments recently. It's now a bit cheaper since the new multiplayer balance patch. And apparently, yeah, Maru is bringing it out early here. It's really quite nice for sniping those creep troopers,
Builds
right?
so fast as well. It really does. And Maru was using Raven a lot pre-patch. Remember, a few months ago, he loved the Raven opening. I've been waiting for people to play this more. I'm like, come on, it's cheaper, it's more accessible. You can even get a second Raven if you want to. So I think this is a perfect idea to mix things up. Now, it is a little bit vulnerable to like roach pushes and things like that because the Raven isn't that effective at actually fighting. But getting one Raven out, he's going to add a Liberator behind it, and the Marines will take out this Overlord. Overlord sees no cloak upgrading on that starport. Also spots the 3rd command center.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think most of the time you would still expect the Banshee at this point as the Zerg. The Solar will probably be firing up a couple of Spore Crawlers here momentarily. There's that Raven going across the map. And he's going to be able to get into the main base right there of the Zerg very soon. Aliens here in the middle of the map.
Really slow play so far. Let's see how quick Solar pulls. Only one drone, not bad. A little bit of mining time, but the Raven, of course, able to keep doing that over and over again. Quick lair and Baneling Nest, so Baneling speed will be the main goal for Solar, and that's very important because it's such a short map where Baneling speed is going to give you the ability to control and push back these big Terran armies. Maru's loved his aggressive early mid-game styles, and he almost always starts a series off swinging at the Zerg. Maru may be known as the late-game god, but he never goes straight to late game. It's only once he falls behind or, you know, the game calls for him to turtle up that he does it. He's going to keep on swinging. And he's got 4 barracks on the way behind this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a big 8 racks follow-up where Maru just goes pedal to the metal on the aggression.
Yeah, this is exactly the Maru we all know and love. He likes playing that big macro game, but it's very map dependent as well, right? And so far his aggression is working out very nicely in this match. He's going for a lot of additional barracks, like you already pointed out. Solar opting to play that Mutaling Bane style primarily, so the Baneling speed does start up after the Spire. This does, however, mean that his Evo Chamber upgrades are going to be a little late, and those Marines are really going to pack a punch.
Very, very late on the upgrades. Normally Maru here. I think he already started combat shields. Liberator does go down. You could argue that's the first mistake, but he already delayed a lot of mining time. What I like about Maru's camera is you're going to notice this is quite easy viewing compared to the Rainer, Clem, several first-person
Very little
views.
scrolling, right?
He never scrolls. He has the lowest scroll speed of any pro player in the game, and it's because he doesn't use it that often. You can see when his mouse moves to the edge of the screen, it doesn't move around that much. He's very focused on his camera hotkeys and using his control groups, double tapping to where he needs to be. And I think the biggest skill Maru has is he doesn't panic. He doesn't hit that select all army key in the big crazy situations. He uses it when necessary, but he never panic clumps his army up or panic pulls everything in one angle. And it's this calm, methodical flow. That's what makes Maru a beast.
I find the color that he's playing with actually quite interesting. So we're obviously casting this game with blue versus red, but in the meantime, Maru's colors are quite a bit darker on his own screen. Either way, the Mutas are coming up. I don't know exactly how much Maru knows about the Spire play. Obviously, that's when that panic can very well come in.
Oh, I think he's going to get it if he clicks it. If he commits, he will get
it. That is very nice right here for the Terran player, slowing down the Zerg, and it certainly counts. Now, he hasn't seen that Spire, so these Mutas, they may very well show up unscouted.
1-1 has only just started for Solar. In fact, only Carapace for now. He didn't start the melee. First Marine tank push is in position in the north, but this could get shut down really hard if he's got Banelings ready. I don't know how much ground army Solar has. The Mutas are going to rotate around and maybe find some damage. They're going to go in for the counter. Losing the 5th and the 4th base. This is definitely really hurting Solar's production.
Muta's getting into the main base though, and Maru did not know about them until right now. He must have realized, wait a second, where is the entire army of my opponent? He now loses a ton of SCVs inside of the main base. Reinforcement Marines are trying to deal with this, but I mean, they're trickling out one at a time. There's a missile turret starting up at the 3rd base, but it's not done yet, and more damage will be executed.
Oh, there's some medevacs there, but he does pull back for now. More SCVs grabbing one of these medevacs on the way out would be nice, but no, gonna go a siege tank, even better. Ooh. Big juicy pickups here for Solar. Unfortunately, Solar did not remember to start melee during all the heat and the action, and that means his upgrades are very far behind. On the other hand, Maru didn't start his 2-2, so the upgrade gap is kind of closing as this game gets scrappy, down and dirty. First game of the day. Maru's going to try and counterattack across the map. The Mutas are not going to let him do that easily.
The lack of 4th base is really hurting Solar at this point, right? Like, he's not been mining as much as you normally are in a game like this. Solar, he's going to have to defend against this massive Terran force that's now in the middle of the map, and the siege tanks are getting into really good positions here.
If Solar can flank this army, he'll smash it. He might even be able to just go right now from the front. He has large numbers. The tanks are getting deep. Solar can't wait much longer. Those tanks are in range of his ramp.
Setting up a surround right now, Solar, that is, as he tries to collapse on top of this Terran army from multiple angles. A lot of the army coming from the south. There's a huge bio force right there at the bottom of the ramp. That siege tank on the right is getting so much damage done.
And there was a massive Widow Mine on the Mutas that also got a bunch of Banelings as well. That is, you can see Solar's face. He knows he's been overwhelmed.
Yeah, losing all of those SCVs was too bad, I suppose, but his standing army was still absolutely massive. He got one siege tank as well, right, if I'm not mistaken, but
yeah,
didn't really matter too much, I guess. He didn't really need it.
Well, you know, that map there is a bit shorter, and as a result, even if you take big damage to the Mutas, Maru showed I can get across that map into position very quickly. I actually think Solar should have engaged a little earlier while Maru was moving forwards, because once he got in that position, I think his units were so well spread out, and the fight went very nicely. Of course, Some very good tank targeting on the Banelings. Maru's so focused on that, and that one Widow Mine getting there. I didn't even see the Widow Mine burrowed. I don't think Solar did either. I just saw a bunch of Banelings and Mutas take massive damage, and I was like, okay, that's going to turn a fight around, mate.
Yeah, one problem he also ran into with that big engagement is that he tried setting up a split, but for some reason, the majority of his army came from that one angle. That fight would have looked a little bit differently, I believe, if he came in from every single side that was possible. In the end, Solar takes a bad battle, and, well, obviously it came at the cost of the game. That said, though, he also ended up losing that fourth base, not only on the left, but also on the right. And that really ends up hurting the Zerg economy a lot. Just didn't have enough units there.
Often we'll see a player overcommit to aggression against someone with Mutalisks, and the Mutas then just crush the army. Maybe you lose the hatchery, you crush the army, you run across the map, you win the game. We've seen like the likes of Su do that so many times over the years. I thought that might happen for Solar, but it seems like Maru was so crisp with that attack timing that the Ling Bane wasn't really ready. Obviously opted for the SCV damage. And that is a map on the board for Maru. He's looking very, very calm and focused. It's that energy that he always brings into these series. The next map will be Gressven. And in the top left side of the map, he's had a good start to this series so far. Get your hands together, make some noise for Maru.
And down here in the bottom right-hand corner, in game number 2 of this best of 5 series, we have Solar. Gressven, in general, a much bigger map. At the very least, it feels significantly bigger. This is the type of map where Maru definitely is capable of playing that mass command center style that we've seen come up quite a bit in this tournament so far as well. Now, interestingly enough, he starts off this game with a low ground wall up, so I'm expecting a second barracks as well. One thing we've seen quite a bit from players like, for example, Björn is even a third barracks, hiding somewhere in the main base. Serral, for what it's worth, absolutely shut that down. But we'll see what Maru has got in store for us here. Is he going to stick to just 2, or if he's going to add on a third as well?
I think he's much more of a 2 racks fan. Bjorn's the YOLO man. He likes to mix in the 3 racks to the higher risk. Maru did 2 racks Reaper twice against Lambo in the only Terran versus Zerg he's played earlier in this tournament. And he really is just enjoying this opening. Now, this is the map where most people have been playing Battle Mech. We're starting to think of Gressven as the one mech map, to the point where it's almost predictable. And that's why I actually like Maru mixing it up, not playing the Battle Mech, which so many players have brought out here.
Brodel's forever sign.
Heroes later today.
Yeah, he's got to wait a little bit longer. I believe that's going to be a 4th best of 5.
I still have faith in Hero, man. Yeah? I think he's going to carry that Protoss flag, even when the other Protoss flags have fallen.
I hope so as well. That would be a lot of fun for sure.
But yeah, so with this build, there is a cheeky 4 racks that Maru did versus Lambo. That was on, I think it was like Babylon or something, or one of the smaller maps. So I doubt he does
CC
it.
Or a double CC?
I think it was just one command center behind the 2 barracks, like he goes for now, but then he hides 2 barracks in the main, and he goes like just one tech lab, 1 reactor, and the other 2 barracks just build Marines, and he just does this very surprisingly quick stim combat shield Marine timing with no medevac. So, you know, kind of like a twist on the 3 racks. I would imagine on this map, probably not as likely. It does look like Solar, much like Serral, is going to expand in the linear fashion along the side of the map, and that's a much less exposed third base to harass.
Yeah, that base right there on the right side of the screen, it's very difficult for the Terran to get to, just because the distance is longer as well, right? There's not as many entrances into that third base, and at the same time, it just takes longer for the Terran army to move all the way across the map. It's only a couple of Reapers, by the way, here in total. I think he's only got 3, and he's already transitioned right now towards Marines. It's kind of interesting, right?
And a factory as well, which makes me wonder if he's going to do like a delayed mech transition off it or something. But
double barracks, that would be very interesting. And definitely not something that Solar would expect. We'll find out here momentarily. The Queen desperately trying to keep her brood alive, but with the help of the friend from the natural, she'll be okay. That one barracks is going to be used to kill an Overlord. Is that what we're doing?
Yep, I like it. Third command center on the way behind this as well. And I'm keeping an eye on that production tab because Maru's definitely got a bit of special sauce coming out of this build.
Now, with these spawn locations, Maru's add-ons right there on that barracks or on those 2 barracks are going to be a little bit exposed. Ooh, actually, the Overlord gets away to the next pillar. That is rather interesting. Reaper's in the natural in the meantime, though, forcing a lot of lost mining time, and that is really good for the Terran here.
Yeah,
Zerglings, they're
better
nowhere to
than
be
losing
seen.
drones, though. I gotta say... Oh, okay, there we go. Does get one kill. Yeah, the Zerglings, I guess there's not that many. Okay, there we go, Loco. All right, gonna get a reactor snipe, but oh, Maru's so smart. Cancels it at the last second. Just before it goes down and rebuilds, it gets most of a refund.
Starport on the back of this as well. But yeah, those structures, those little add-ons, they always spawn right next to the barracks, right? Or the factory or on the starport. And depending on where you spawn, if you would have spawned on the other end of the map, they would have been on the safe end of that wall. Sometimes it can be a disaster with that Stimpeg research, because that is one of those pivotal upgrades, and if Zerg can deny it repeatedly, it can become an absolute disaster.
What do you reckon, Loco? You want to see him drop a Baneling Nest just to blow it up?
I wouldn't mind it, man. If I was playing this, I probably would have already put it down, or a Roach Ward, or something along those lines, because it's just too juicy of a target. Because everything that Terran wants to do pivots on that upgrade.
It truly does. Losing your stim, especially when it's almost finished, is just so frustrating. Forces you into a super defensive standstill, and right now Maru, I mean, he's already setting up for the long game. Third command center, double engineering bay, all the good things on the way for his economy, and a 4 Hellion drop going to probe across the map. I do feel like Solar's handled things well, and I think he really does have room to get quite far ahead in this game if he can block this Hellion drop completely.
He doesn't know about the Hellions, so you see those couple of Reapers leading the path right here. Well, now
oh, nice catch.
Yeah, that is a really nice catch, also because he now sees those Hellions coming in. Okay, so this is no longer going to be a surprise, and I don't suspect that Solar will take a lot of damage. Look at the rally of the Queens getting into the main base. They are ready to defend, although, well, they need to be in the right place.
This is a crazy commitment from Maru. This is absolutely wild. There's no reason why he should have gone in there. Maru making an uncharacteristic mistake there, and Solar now feeling so good about his position. He's going to be soaring ahead, and for anyone who was worried that this series might get out of control after game one, I feel like Solar now is poised to play an overwhelming macro game.
Yeah, this early game now going heavily in favor of the Zerg player, who's going to probably fire up the 1-1 upgrades together with the Baneling speed. He can take a 4th base much easier than he could in the previous game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to drone that one up very heavily. Now, our observer pointed out right there that the Medivacs did not get spotted, so maybe these can get some sort of damage done. But honestly, if he keeps cleaning up the armies that he has been, I mean, I don't really see exactly what Maru can do easily to come back into this.
Queens are reasonably well positioned, does boost to the right side to try and get out, but good pullbacks by Solar, only losing an Overlord and a couple of Zerglings. So no big cost there as Maru backs away. Heading into 8 barracks is Maru. Oh, it's so popular on this map. That 4th base of Solar is sticking out like a sore thumb, but he's got good creep spread. Maru's had so little map presence. He hasn't really slowed down the creep in the middle. He really wants to get in the middle path and start pushing those tumors back to set up for his game-ending push.
Usually with this sort of opener from the Terran, we don't see a ton of command centers, maybe after the aggression, right? If Solar manages to shut it down, but Maru is intending on winning this game in a couple of minutes from now. He's finishing up the 1-1 upgrades, he's already got Stimpeg. Combat Shield is not too far behind either. The thing is, though, you brought up the creep spread. Nice little run by over here, by the way, but you brought up the creep spread. It's looking excellent. Baneling speed is finishing up too. In theory, Solar should have all of the tools at his disposal to defend this.
Yep, equal army supply for both sides. 1-1 upgrades are finished for the Terran though, and Widowmines always have the ability to get a big explosion off. Nice transfuses on the Queens for now, but oh, that's a lot of Marine firepower.
Yeah, those Widowmines do detonate here eventually. There's that Spore Crawler in the edge of the main base, moving on over. There's a couple of them dealing a lot of damage to those Medivacs. Big drop in the main, though. Very nicely done right here by Maru. He uses his units very effectively right there between those mineral fields and those Zerg structures to optimize the amount of damage. Don't lose a Medivac on the way out there.
High risk, high reward play from Maru here, working that angle. We saw Beyond working that yesterday against Serral as well. It is a good drop path. And Maru does get a decent trade, getting 6 drones and a bunch of mining time, and most importantly, making Solar feel a little bit panicked. Now, behind this, we do actually have a 4th command center and a 2nd factory, which are basically the tells that Maru wants to play a longer game. You get the 2nd factory, you can have drilling claws, siege tank production, or Thors. You can also go, of course, for a 4th base, which leads into a 5th and a 6th. So not just committing to the big old all-in or anything like that. Yeah. Maru just looking for good trades, and so far, very good marine control. And getting, just keeping Solar busy and also slowing down his creep spread.
Widowmine drop over right here on the right side of the map. No reaction out of the Zerg player just yet, and that's going to cost him 12 workers. There's one more Widowmine in the natural expansion as well, and that one is also not going to connect.
Oh, not yet. Please don't send those drones back to mining Solar. Okay, there we go. Shoots into the drone that hops in the gas geyser. Maru using that multitasking right now. We think of him as a defensive god, but you do sometimes forget just how good he is at harassing his opponents and wearing them down. And he is putting a lot of pressure on. He's now up in supply. He's got an army moving through the north side. Solar's trying to go Infestation Pit. Hydra's +2 carapace. He's trying to work his way forwards, but he's just spent the last minute rebuilding those drone losses. And now this army is going to cause him some more issues.
Yeah, and he's been pushing back that creep spread on the left side of the map very nicely as well, and that certainly hurts the Zerg here with follow-up aggression. So we have a look right here at the first person of what Solar is looking at. A lot more scrolling compared to Maru. Now he knows there's Widow Mines, so he's trying to split up those units. A couple of those Widow Mines detonate on the Terran army as well, since of course they deal splash damage. Split zone, good hotkeys.
Ah, it was a good cleanup. Watching the first-person camera, you go, wow, he just crushed that fight. And then you realize why, of course. The other fight wasn't going as well for him. This is always the case. It's a multitasking battle, Zerg versus Terran. Notice how he hops between, does his injects, and then immediately looks at the top. He has to monitor this fight to make sure he's not baited into any Widow Mines.
Trying to put that creep spread down once again, because he knows there's going to be big attacks following these as well. Maru, in the meantime, by the way, has got his 4th command center up in that very tricky position right there on the left side of the map. This is one of those spots that's quite difficult for the Terran to secure, but once they get it up and running with a planetary fortress, it is really nice to fall back to.
Still trying to work this angle. I feel like this is always such a point of contention on this map. Right around that ridge line the Terran can retreat to, and oh, he actually gets that base. Solar's 5th base sniped down. Bainley's got some good connections, but he's got to watch out for the Widow Mines!
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
really
man.
nice connections right there for the Terran player, who's just been, yeah, one step ahead every time with this aggression. Look at him picking up right there, just barely in the nick of time, losing just a single Marine, I believe. And now Solar, I mean, he needs to rebuild his economy, but he's trying to go for Lurkers. Lurkers can shut down this tempo advantage that Maru has been establishing, but he's not really properly there yet. He really needs those Lurker upgrades as well.
I agree with you there, Loco. It feels like the Lurkers aren't going to be hitting the scariest timing because tank and ghost production is already well underway. Vipers will help against the tanks, and Lingbane Hydra Viper can take on this army. But because there's still the fear of the biomine, Solar is, of course, down in supply. He's still trying to catch up on the upgrades. I think the idea of a Ling Run Bite is always good. Anything you can do to pick Maru's attention away, those Lurkers helping hold on for now. Maru wants to snipe that 5th base once again.
Yeah, he's considering stimming into the Lurkers here, but it's a very dangerous decision. You need to make sure that you are very prepared to commit, as he does now finally snipe one of them, but he's forced to back off.
Wow, okay, the Vipers have popped in a gathering energy behind this. The 6th base does get cancelled. 5th base almost finished rebuilding. Ling Run Bite on the left side comes in, but the wall is raised, and the Lings aren't really getting that much done. It looks like maybe a Ghost, but no, nice micro from Maru. The Ghost gets out. A few SCVs will fall, but at the end of that, of course, a good trade for Solar just to pull the army back and distract him.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting a good trade here, getting a couple of Ghosts. I think that's the 3rd one going down. A few SCVs, but most importantly, that pressure has been alleviated, right? It's now no longer right there on top of his 5th hatchery. So that means he can go back to mining. He can start getting those late-game upgrades as well. It was looking really, really dangerous right there for Solar momentarily, but he's crawling his way back into this game right now. And once he finishes up all those late-game upgrades, this game is going to look a whole lot better for him.
If Solar can deny a base, a 5th base going up, that'll be great, but he's still got to deal with these Widow Mine drops, and they are very annoying. Just taking out a few Lings and a drone. This one in the natural does finally get shot down, and that's very nice for Solar. But yeah, he's got to get a move on in terms of stopping Maru. Maru is now switching gears to macro. He's going 3 command centers. He's building a planetary on the 5th base. These are things that Solar does not want to let get up, because he's right now investing into Lurker tech, which is not the greatest tech the longer this game goes. Oh, and that sight blocker working against Solar there.
At least the one Lurker right there manages to escape, but only for a little while. The Queen's trying to transfuse. So many cost-efficient trades here for Maru throughout this game so far. Yeah, look at the resources lost. I mean, honestly, considering the amount of mining they've been doing, the resources lost isn't really even that big yet, but I think those numbers are going to be pumped up very shortly, because Maru is ready to mine out, well, basically every mineral field he can get his hands on.
Oh yeah, he's going to play that methodical game. So many commands, and it's a 3rd factory, 4 Ghosts building at a time. Vehicle weapon upgrades starting. Of course, Maru wants to get towards +3 siege tanks, but also +3 Blue Flame Hellbats as the game goes long enough. And we'll see exactly... Oh,
Oh, fight over here in the middle of the map. He's trying his best to back off once again. EMP on the Viper, gonna make it difficult for Zerk.
Solar's attacking around a corner. This is a really nasty fight for Solar. He has Banelings coming from the north, but most of those Banelings got shot down, and Solar attacking around a ridgeline. That was a big upset there for Solar's army. Maru just smashed through a vastly superior force. The units lost tab will be way more in his favor now.
Yeah, that was a very questionable choice. I think Solar was planning on coming behind right there with more Banelings, but I think many of them got killed before they ever reached the battlefield. Now suddenly Maru is ready to counterattack. I mean, he wanted to play the long macro game, but he says, yo, if you're gonna give me a bunch of your army, I'll test the waters and see if I can kill another one of your bases. Normally Ghost, maybe not necessarily the best unit that's sniping those expansions, but oh my god, they're trying their best. No, Bailey's now connecting.
That tank on the north is doing great damage as well. I think Solar might be able to get up on top of this, but he's gonna have to go for it sooner rather than later. His Lurkers ran off to the north side. I don't know why the Lurkers didn't join in this fight, Loco. It feels like Solar is getting stretched too thin.
That were a lot of Ghosts that just went down at the cost of a hatchery, I suppose. A lot of Zerg units as well. I'm not entirely sure what to make of that particular fight. How many Ghosts just fell?
Where are the Lurkers? I saw them run off to the north of the screen. I'm like, okay, there they are. The Lurkers are doing a run by.
Yeah.
They are getting a denial on a base, but on their own. A bit unfortunate for Solar to lose a base like that. I mean, he denies the 6th, but he denies it temporarily. This is not the same as blowing up a planetary in 20 SCVs. Solar, he's got good bank, he's still got good money, and he's still going toe-to-toe with Maru, but he's got to find a way to swing back. And I think, obviously, Maru and Infestors is something Cero likes at this stage of the game. I think for Solar, it's more about sandwiching an army. It's all positioning focused. He's got to get in there from two sides so Maru can't back out of these fights.
He is very well upgraded right now, so Zerglings alone should already do pretty well against this planetary fortress. With the support of Banelings and Hydras, however, this expansion will surely fall.
Nice move.
Yeah, we are now at the phase of the game, though, where Maru has so many command centers available. Look, he just killed one of them. There's one ready to replace.
Oh, Banelings on the planetary, though, getting quite a few SCVs, but I don't think he's going to be able to finish it off. This might be an overextension. Maru gets in with the repair!
Is he going to be able to get that? No, the Hydras tried to retreat at the last possible second, but they don't get it done. In the meantime, though, these Lurkers have been working on command centers. There's another burning building, but that one also gets saved.
I think Solar's just overextending a little bit. The previous fight where the flank came in too late, that one as well. If he didn't go for the second planetary, waited for more units and kept rotating around, he'd be good. But Maru gets a little bit of moment to rest here, to lick his wounds and rebuild. He's going to counterattack Solar, and Solar going into just Hydra, Ling, Bane. I think he might be off the Lurker production for a while since there are so many Ghosts on the map. But we'll see exactly which direction it goes. 6 SCVs building at a time for Maru. And he's going to rebuild that economy really quickly.
The creep spread is starting to worry me a little bit here for Solar, because Maru is now picking up the pace even more, and it's difficult to really prioritize. There's a lot of Lurkers end up going down right here in the middle of the map. That's all of them.
Oh, that is a disaster. Solar not happy with that at all. Maru stumbles upon the jackpot there and is quick to capitalize. And now he's back into this position. This is Maru's favorite spot on this map. He loves working this angle. Solar's going to try and attack into it, but those tanks, they do line up deep. They were a bit slow to siege, but there's just no Lings to capitalize.
Yeah, amazing target firing right there from our Terran player, who's now once again marching across the map with whatever army he's got. There's a little bit of a counterattack happening as well over there at the planetary fortress, but the Zerglings get cleaned up. Now we're even sniping down Hydras.
Ow, 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 ow. Those Ghosts just sniping so many units down. A few of the Ghosts go down, but an amazing trade. And Maru's supply surprisingly close with Solar's, but of course he's got the mass orbital command center binder. He can drop mules for days. Solar, on the other hand, is completely broke.
Tactical nuke coming up as well. Maru ready to insult his opponent some more here. Obviously, there's that famous game they played a while ago where the the tactical nuke rotor ended up killing everything that the Zerg player had. Very different scenario, of course. Maru is losing a lot of his units, though. It's not like he's not particularly rich. He's got a ton of command centers, that's great, but he doesn't have a bank to immediately replace the units that he's just lost.
Solar has beastly macro, he really does. The fact that he's taking so many fights like this bad and still hanging on in terms of the supply is great. It's just that this base is crucial. He can't give this base up, and so he's fighting into a meat grinder. It's such a bad situation for him to fight. A nuke even trying to get called down. Solar will take the Ghost out, cancel the nuke, drop a parasitic bomb. He's going to have to keep falling back. There's just more tanks, Hellbats, and Ghosts rallying into the fight. And it feels like Maru's reinforce is just too strong. Remember, this is only part of the Terran army. A lot of it's walking across the map. This is everything the Zerg has.
Beautiful game right there once again from Maru. Probably did not go entirely the way that he had anticipated there. He was ready to play an even longer game if he needed to. But yeah, he saw an opportunity when he grabbed all of those lurkers in the middle of the map. He realized, okay, this is the time. I'm going to try and attack and win this game right here, right now. And that turned out to be the correct choice. I mean, he's got the highest score of all of our pro gamers for a very good reason.
98 on the defense, and we saw it. The way he baits the Zerg into fighting around corners is huge. You know, there's this thing with the way the units path in StarCraft. They clump up like mad when they go around a ridge or a corner to get at the opponent's army. You always want to be attacking through as wide open a space as possible with those melee units. And he used that 4 or 5 different occasions. He was always setting up with his army, kind of snaking around behind the terrain. And the first few tanks might go down, but then they get punished so hard, does the Zerg, by the other units that do come out.
You brought up that killer macro though from Solar, right? I mean, that game, it looked like Maru was winning for like 80% of the time, at least that's what it felt like. But Solar always had enough to actually defend whatever the Terran player was throwing at him. I really feel like this game pivoted heavily in favor of the Terran when those lurkers were found out, just camping in the middle of the map. I think he just used them together with an Overseer to like snipe a Widow Mine or something along those lines, and they were still sitting there. Maru knew it, he found them, and he killed them, and that's really what allowed Maru to obtain the victory here. Unfortunate situation for Solar. It's one of those games, though, where you can't get into your own head all too much. It just seemed that Maru was ever so slightly better.
Yep, that is the way Solar's games look as well in this matchup. It often looks like he's just getting beaten up by the Terran opponent for 10-15 minutes. And then he kills them.
Yep.
Like, this is actually the way his games go. So, you know, it may have looked like Maru was in the driver's seat that whole time. As you said, the critical moments were, of course, when the Zerg counterattacks got completely stuffed. That was the key thing, swapping from offense to defense, something that this player is an absolute master at. He's in the top left side of Dragon Scales. Can he get the 3-0 clean sweep and go to the semis? It's Maru!
And his opponent down right here in the bottom right-hand corner of Dragon Scales. He needs your energy. Make some noise for Solar.
I don't think he goes down this easily. I don't think Solar goes down 3-0 here. I feel like he's been here many times before in the past. And, you know, I actually get a little more worried for him mentally when he's up 2-0, because I feel like he has a pretty high rate of players reversaling him. But I think when he's down in this hard position, he just feels like he's got nothing to lose. And he's like, all right, time to just play the best games I possibly can. Let's just go pedal to the metal. And he already looked pretty damn good in that last game against the 2-Rex Reaper opening. Maru's doing it again. I feel like this gives Solar such a good position. Remember, he shut that Hellion drop down. He was in an amazing position in that last game. I think he's going to shut this one down as well.
Yeah, it was a relatively small commitment into Reapers at the time, so we'll see how many Maru decides to make this time around. Obviously, with those Reapers being 50 minerals and 50 gas each, you usually will get enough resources to make a command center as well. You can see that on this map on top of that ramp. He really has to get creative with his building positioning, but eventually he's going to be able to start pumping out those Reapers 2 at a time. Shout out, by the way, to everybody who already showed up for the tournament today. Love seeing those signs.
That's awesome. Well, this map is one which doesn't have as many jumping ledges up and down to hide those Reapers on, so definitely not one where you can scale too far out of control, but if you can maybe deny the third base or just get rid of a few tumors, get rid of some drones and Zerglings, things can go well. I really like the way Solar pulled all of his drones away from the Reaper run by in that last game. Took very few losses.
Reaper going in right now, ready to harass the Zerg's natural. At this point, it's difficult to tell exactly what you're playing against, but soon he's going to be seeing multiples as well. That link speed starts up, very important upgrade. Third hatchery has already begun building as well, and so far Maru is just dancing. He knows he's on a timer, but how much damage can he really deal?
First Zergling goes down, and the Queen comes out, and ooh, gets a drone. Oh, so close to losing a Reaper for it, surviving on 3 hit points.
Nicely done right there by the Terran player. Did he only go 2 Reapers, by the way? No, there's a third one. I was going to say, that would be crazy. Opening up double barracks only to then go for 2 Reapers in total. Well, the Queen and the Zerglings are waiting right here on the high ground, and they're not going to be able to snipe any of these units. Once again, even though Battlemech has been pretty popular at this particular tournament so far, we've once more got ourselves that Stimpak coming up. I like how we have like a decade worth of establishing the standard in this particular matchup, and then the Terrans are like, you know what? We're going back to making 2 barracks. There we go, 3 Reapers, and we'll just make a bunch of random bio units.
It's so weird. It really is going full circle. And Maru, I mean, he's a guy who's a big fan of the 2-1-1 as well. And with the later factory after the 3rd command center, I do think we're just going to see the starport swap around, get some medevacs across the map. And I liked his focus on Widow Mines in that last game. I really do feel like the Widow Mines allow you to apply a lot of pressure. On the other hand, I mean, I think if Solar was able to resume from replay and jump back in time to when he first is counterattacking, yeah, those planetaries are getting busted by Banelings. We're seeing those lurkers be used a little bit more carefully, and I do think Maru's going to struggle from that situation. So the Widow Mine style, it's something which allows you to put on a lot of pressure, but, well, we better talk about the Baneling bust that's coming. Hey, Lurker. Yeah,
that Baneling nest is a standard structure in this matchup, but normally we don't see it until quite a bit later. Solar is preparing a massive Baneling bust right here in this match, which... This is do or die right now for the Zerg player, right? He does not have another chance. Now, this is a really nice snipe. I was wondering about that Overlord hanging in the middle of the map. He's not going to be able to hit, I don't think, though, before that Stimpak upgrade finishes up, will he?
If he could have surrounded those Marines, that would have been so beautiful. But no, he's not going to be able to get rid of the stim. He's going to run up that ramp with this Zergling. Honestly,
you might assume that Stimpak is not done yet because the green light kept
on. He's too far outside. Maru caught with his pants down. And that means the door does not get raised. Banelings are going to walk in, but Maru's got some pretty good focus fire. He's taken down 4 or 5 Banelings already, but the Lings are getting the surround.
Grenades from the Reapers would be fantastic at this point in time, as well as the Banelings are trying to hunt down whatever they can. Very good control, though, here by the Terran player, only losing a handful of SCVs so far. This is very respectable, because keep in mind, there's a 3rd CC on the back of this.
Oh my lord, Maru, you crisp god of micro. How did you pull off this defense? It's not over yet, though. The wall is being torn down. Those Reapers are so low.
Yeah, the supply depot, right? That one has to be raised here if he wants to keep all of these units out. Now Solar, though, is really starting to get the damage done. Oh, he's actually down. He's trying to get the damage done that he wanted to deal, and this is looking better and better right now for the Zerg player. Look at that supply depot attempt every single time. It gets denied by the Lings.
Yeah, he needs 100 minerals as well, and he couldn't get it now. He has the minerals, but the Lings are doing so much. The Banelings coming in from both sides. The siege tank drops on it. Maru dropping a tank to take it out. Banelings clear the SCVs at the front. The siege tank goes down. 5 Marines trying to hold on against an onslaught of Zerglings. Solar says, I will not go down 3-0. The Zerglings surrounding those last few Marines. Maru's hanging on like a champ, but I don't think he's got the numbers. 42 SCVs have gone down.
I think in Maru's mind right now, he's like, yeah, you're dealing this damage, but how many workers do you really have? I've got triple command center. Those mules, they mine really quickly and they bring me a lot of money. So if you're doing this push, well, he's not too happy about it, but if you're doing this push off of like 25 drones or so, I actually might have a chance to get back.
He's going to have to wall off the ramp.
That's what we're doing.
He knows he can't defend the natural. Maru, that was the most tilted I've ever seen Maru look on his face, by the way. And he looked like actually frustrated. That is crazy. Despite that, I think this is so clever of him. Solar busts in and he's like, wait, are you serious? Okay, I can't get up there. He's going to have to just deny the natural and go back to droning. And I mean, I think it's obviously a massive lead. You can't really reclaim the low ground here. Maru's going to just drop 3 Marines on the low ground while having Marines on the high ground covering them. His buildings are burning.
This is the pro gamer equivalent of flying your CC to the corner of the map, right? I mean, it is going to be incredibly difficult for Maru to come back. But hey, it's the World Championships. You may as well try your best to obtain the victory. And trying he is, but he's losing everything that he's been working on in this game so far. 40 drones at this point. It is critical that Solar gets back to workers because I don't think he's going to be able to bust through those, well, main structures, right? He's not going to be able to kill the factory with Banelings.
No, I mean, well, yeah, you can actually if you make enough and you've got enough money maybe to, but why not just drone up and get way further ahead while denying the natural? There's no reason to try to headbutt up that ramp. I love the way Maru is methodically microing this, but it would not be a crazy decision.
Is that
Maru
9 kills and 1 Marine right there? You love
10 kills, 9 kills, 10 kills, 9 kills. That is awesome. That's a 28 kill, you know, 3 Musketeers of Terran there. Apparently Dark is one of those. Who knew? 1-1 upgrades being restarted in the main for Maru. And yeah, it would not be crazy to just type GG. He's so far behind. Like,
I love that he's trying, though, right?
Yeah.
One of the comments we always get as casters is like, why do the players leave the game already? Well, it's because it's very difficult to win the game in the long run.
Oh, the focus fire is so sick!
It's so sick, yeah. The heroes ended up going down, though. There's still 2 Marines inside of those medevacs. Now the structures here are gone. He's even planting a Baneling there to make sure that he can't land anything in that location either. But yeah, this is Maru just mostly processing the loss, trying to squeeze out a victory. But he must know that it's not possible as Solar gets a point on the board.
It's a really good psychological tactic when you are heavily favored, when you're sort of a nemesis to an opponent, to just hang in there and make them really earn every single inch. Because they've got so much pressure on their shoulders already. And just making them do a little bit of extra work while you kind of plan out your next series, it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
But it can actually just pile up the stress and the exhaustion that they're going through, get a bit more adrenaline pumping through their system. They're going to be playing less calm, less organized in the following games.
Such a risky move, though, right? From Solar. Because there were 2 moments where those Marines were out on the map when they really shouldn't have been. This is one of the downsides of being a great micro player. You kind of feel like, hey, you know what? I'm going to venture across the map, maybe see if I can get some damage done. When you have 400 or 500 APM to play with, you kind of get bored just sitting behind your wall, so you get a little bit adventurous. If those Marines would not have gotten surrounded on the ramp, I think this game would have looked very different.
100%. It really very well could have. That wall was raised and 5 Banelings had to be used just to get through the wall, not to mention how many get focused down on the way up there. A very different game. But you got to remember that Maru's been playing a lot of this build into either 3 command center, where he likes to still do a light Marine pressure, cleaning up overloads and pretending he's going to do a Marine pressure. And then sometimes he does that actual 4-ax that I was talking about with like a very committed stim Marine.
Disaster.
Yeah, so the thing is, I feel like basically Solar said, look, even if you go for the 4-ax, you're going to come out and I'm going to surround you with the Ling Bane, and I think I can still take you out. And I think he just said there's such a high chance of you with any follow-up getting greedy and moving your Marines around the map. I'm going to catch you out. I'm down 0-2. I need to take some risks and some gambles. I love the bravery to make that decision. You've got to take risks to win 3 games in a row versus Maru.
Our next map in this best of 5 is loading up as we find ourselves on Ancient Cistern. And spawning right here in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the man who's looked very solid in this series so far. An unfortunate game number 3. We are looking at Maru's main command center.
All right, up here to the right side of Ancient Cistern. Also representing Onside Gaming. He's got a point on the board. Let's see if he can get a second one. It's Solar. I feel like Solar's the people's hero, you know? He's had these moments where he gets nuked or cannon rushed or pylon walled in, and we kind of go, all right, you know, but he fights back, he fights hard, he never gives up, and
we're never going to let him forget that, right?
Oh, never.
There have been like 3 occasions, for those of you unfamiliar, where the man took a huge nuke to the face. It's unfortunate. It barely ever happens at this level of play. It's a while ago now.
Most people don't come back from that, you know, that trauma's living in their head rent-free. Solar's managed to move faster. He's had some really good series versus Maru over the last year since that happened, and I think he's definitely looking very focused so far. This map's interesting because there are a lot of rocks that really slow down the push paths, but it is like Widowmine heaven. There's just so many ledges and paths, and I feel like every time I watch this map, even in TVP, there's just Widowmines that end up scattered all over the map and units running into them. It's great for backstabs as well because there is a lot of room around the edges, and it just has a lot of dynamic options in terms of the strategies that get played out.
This map, also known as the green map under the pro gamers.
Yeah, that's what they've been calling it?
Yeah, they've been calling it the green map.
The green map.
Which is, you know, pretty descriptive.
I like it.
We have a lot of fantastic color schemes these days on all of the StarCraft 2 maps, but the map maker for this particular one was like, no, green. Green, that's what I go with.
I have been demanding more greenery and flowers and plants for years. Like, there was season upon season where every single map looked like Antigua's shipyard. You're like, oh, we have some mud and there's some metal bits. And you're like, oh, wow. This
it's very dark as well.
This is really aesthetically pleasing, guys. Wow. Like, what happened to beaches and sunshine and forests? Come on.
Yeah, we don't want to go outside all too often as gamers. We want to experience the outside inside. Anyways, the Reaper right now getting across the map. Gets a little bit of damage done on those Zerglings. Look at that. What's that called? I have no idea.
Well, that's, I mean, the cistern is literally under the main base, right? Because that's where all the water's flowing out of.
I did never even consider that. Yeah, man. I've been thinking of this as the green map as well, yeah.
So that's it. They've both set up their base on the very valuable fresh water on this map, you know?
Oh.
So
it's a battle for the fresh water supply, is that what you're saying?
100%. That's right.
There's a Tastalope running around. There's an Artosalope on the other side of the map as well.
Yeah.
We'll see it running around skittishly very soon. So we do have a 1-1-1 rather opener right here for Maru. That's 1 barracks, 1 factory, and then a starport.
And yeah, the double Hellion production is pretty standard, but notice he is building a few extra Marines to help deny Overlord scouting. And Maru will be choosing the path of his build soon. This is no quick third command center.
That second gas is interesting. Did that Reaper scout that by any chance? Or did he try to...
I think it was just an extracted trick, right?
Okay.
Just a bit of a supply block mistake there. Solar wanted to squeeze out, I guess, one more Queen or Drone, and went for it. A Viking's on the way behind this as well. More and more Hellions are building. Still no third command center, of course. That usually goes down about 410 with this sort of opening. And the Hellion's going to veer around, see if they can get some tumor snipes.
Yeah, well, they should be able to get some if they try to target it down. Instead, they decide to continue driving straight into the natural.
Oh, good drone surround. Oh, really good micro by Solar.
Wow. Making a very bad situation look pretty dang good right there. Only 4 workers at the cost of all those Hellions and that Reaper. Not a bad start here at all. He now also scouts exactly what the follow-up is going to be.
I'm telling you, Loco, you know, similar to that Oli Molig series, I feel like whenever Maru's really aggressive, Solar shuts it down and looks really good. But when Maru goes to the late game, that's where he looks like he's on another level. Now, this is a mech transition from here. Ooh. Second factory armory goes down. Very exciting. So many players have only been playing Battle Mech out on Quarterfinals, and I really feel a lot of the maps have enough room for it and could be effective. Now, here's a cool setup. The Viking cleans up the Overlord path. The Medevac comes through to try and drop in the corner of that big main base, which Solar won't see unloading and could do massive damage.
The Queen is waiting here to possibly intercept a unit like a Liberator, but she's going to be surprised when a bunch of cars show up that shoot flames at her as they do indeed now unload into the main base. How many workers can he get? Beautiful evolution chain from block right there from the Zerg, though. He's still hunting down the drones, but he's not getting them really.
Oh my lord, Solar with some very good reactions. Once again, only loses 4 drones. I mean, yeah, it's still a few workers, but for 3 Hellions, Solar is just on point. And Maru, oh my lord, I don't actually think it's a mech build.
No, it's Drilling Claws.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is the old school opening where you spam more Widowmine drops than your opponent has ever seen. The next 5 minutes of this game is going to be Solar playing Widowmine drop defense simulator. If he can pass this test with flying colors, he should be far ahead. The problem is they just will not stop coming. Maru is going to drop him relentlessly with Widowmines and go up into bio. The problem with the transition behind this for Maru is your barracks are so late, you have basically no real army until about 10, 11 minutes. Like, you're completely wide open on the defense, so he needs to pin Solar at home with the Widowmine drops. Another problem, Solar's playing Roaches, which already leads into a really strong timing attack. I actually think Solar's playing this game perfectly.
Yeah. The only problem with the Roach Ravager army, as he also puts down a Spire, is that the units move around pretty slowly, right? So you need to be in the right place at the right time. And those speedy Widowmines are going to burrow incredibly quickly. He needs to be there when the units arrive. And at this point, he doesn't really know. He probably assumes this is a standard play. So he does see a Medevac leave right now. There's already one on the right side of the map. A Viking here trying to just deny the Overlords. But here comes that very first Medevac drop. Oh, well, at least with Widowmines in it.
Sporecrawl is going to do good, but oh my gosh, the drones! Oh. Okay, 13 drones going down. Fantastic first wave. Solar there does shoot down the Medevac, and he will get rid of that second Widowmine, though. Nice defense. If he can hold the drone key down, he'll be good. But you know what? He's queuing up more Roaches.
Yeah, he's ready to go on the offense. He also just shut down his own Spire. So even though he was opting to go for Mutas here earlier, no longer going to be the play. There's our second Widowmine drop inside of the main base. A couple of Widowmines over there get the Knight as well. Third base under a lot of harassment.
Oh, wow.
Going down.
One of the Widowmines didn't burrow in the main as well, actually. So he's got another Widowmine in the main that could burrow. There we go. 12 SCVs in total do go down. That Widowmine's still just waddling around Maru.
It's just barely out of range, right? Yeah.
Okay, Solar has taken catastrophic damage, but Maru's army, if we can see the units tab, I think it's about 14 Marines and 1 tank,
Not
10
even.
Marines. That is a very small army. He's pulling back from the third. He's going to put the tanks on the high ground. If you have an Overseer, then it's good, but there's a Viking, which means you can't have an Overseer to spot the high ground. Oh, there it is. If he brings that in and biles the tank, it's game over. But if that tank can hold on, maybe, just maybe, Maru can stop this avalanche of Roach Ravager.
Yeah, these Roaches and Ravagers are well upgraded as well. They have the speed upgrade too, so they're going to do as much damage as possible. The Overseer does need to come in right now. It'll probably be moving very, very soon. Okay, he's trying to bi-layer on the retreat. That Siege tank getting so many shots in. Where's the Overseer?
The Overseer, I don't think it's on the control group. I think Solar's forgotten about it. There we go. It's coming in, but the Marines are in front. These tanks are absolutely ravaging this army, Loco. Only 2 biles land on the tank. Maru making an amazing hold here, and he shuts that army down. Solar on the camera. You can see he's frustrated, realizing that this is a huge, huge moment. He thought he should have been able to kill Maru here, but Maru with the perfect tank Marine positioning, a beautiful SCV pull. I don't know how he lost only 8 SCVs.
That was absolutely insane right there from Maru. He needed to get a little bit lucky, but he got it as well, right? Those Siege tanks dealing so much damage. That Overseer, it provided the high ground vision he needed to actually shoot those corrosive balls at the Siege tank. And you could see the panic coming in when it initially did not show up, as he indeed ended up misbiling a couple of the tanks as well. There's the SC2. Maru rubbing salt in the wound. That being said, this is still a scary Zerg army.
But those 2 tanks on the high ground, oh my lord, they are just destroying. Oh, and you can see Solar.
GG. Take trophy, what did he say?
GG, well played. Take the trophy instead of me. Graciously saying, all right, buddy, you've absolutely earned this one.
Very, very nicely done right here by Maru, who now moves on to the semifinals of IEM Katowice 2023.
The spamming the Widowmine drops there, such a dynamic and difficult build to play against. And the variations